What is up, everybody? This is Tikwa, also known as Richard, and I'm coming back to you with a bit of a different video. Bear with me with this one because we are going to do a deep dive into everything about the Holy Roman Empire. I'm going to be covering more factions, not just the Holy Roman Empire, but to show you guys a bit more things to think about and to give you guys a bit of a full outlay of what to expect with every single faction, but also a few mistakes that I commonly see these days with watching, some other people play, and also current mistakes that I've made and that you can avoid. But we'll mainly focus on the Learn tab, showing you guys everything that we want to focus on with this, because this is quite nice. The way they tell you everything that's going on, difficulty, what their basic structure is about, but also how it plays off in a game scenario, so you guys can actually understand what it does. We'll be focusing in the game itself, so we're gonna max out the resources in a custom, and then we'll just cover every single topic from those videos. And also this is quite a nice way to complete challenges when you are trying to do all these little challenges. Just hop into a custom game. You don't even need to have an opponent. Just surrender at the end and you'll be able to comfortably finish those challenges and get a nice little experience like this account level, and just flex it a little bit when you're playing the game. So let's just hop into this custom game. No pressure. We are going to start maximum resources and H5. We'll hop back to the other to another custom game if we have to, just to talk about placements and so on of different ages. But the main thing is you'll understand the build orders and stuff on other videos. This is not a build order guide. This is more an in-depth guide to give you guys an understanding of exactly what to do. So let's move close to the sacred site. We already have a prelate, so that's going to be great. We don't want to capture the sacred site because obviously that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to explain exactly what needs to happen. But let's put a castle down. We will build an outpost as well, and we'll grab this guy quickly to go pick up a relic. And yeah, let's build one of each of these buildings, just to make sure that we get a good understanding of everything. Thought we were not playing against anything, and a wolf attacks you. At least we'll have the castle or something to do some damage, or a villager. Now you can see here you can drop the relic, or okay, we can drop it in the outpost, we can drop it in the castle, or keep rather, and you can also drop it in the Residence Cathedral, which gives you that extra, what do you call it, 200 gold? Yeah, 200 gold instead of the 100 per minute. And then I pressed F to make him garrison after that, so the tower will just deal with the wolves, so we can get rid of that annoying sound. At least they're updating that in the next patch, but we don't need to worry about that anymore. Okay, now what you'll see with the outpost, right now you can see I have 16 gold per minute, but if you click on the outpost, let's just drop the prelate out, you can see right here 33 per minute. That's going to go up all the way to 100 per minute. He's going to just keep inspiring people. But when you play the Holy Roman Empire, the standard thing is to go, for men at arms, very, very straightforward on the siege workshop. You have bombards, but one thing that you guys need to remember that not a lot of factions have or use. Like, just if you check quickly on the tech tree, on Imperial Age, we are currently on the Holy Roman Empire, right? I'll use the English as an example because everybody loves the English right now. Let's just hop over to the Siege Workshop. When you play on the Siege Workshop, they actually don't have the cauldron. They have to challenge this with Springles, right? And we're going into the next patch now where siege engines will actually have less health. on season 2 of Age of Empires when that comes out, right? So you can see they have the Rebaldequin for, you know, men at arms or heavy knight and so on, but they only have springalds, so they don't have that very strong Rebaldequin, which is a long range unit, bonus damage versus siege weapon. So this, in the next patch, the health of the siege engines on everything, mangonels, everything is going to get severely reduced. But if you look at this range, right, let's just set that up. I think it's 14, 12 tiles, right? So 16 will be all the way down to there. That would be a trebuchet. But this range is insane, and the damage amount is plus 200 versus siege. So most siege units are going to get one shot with this Rebaldequin, and it's something that it's very nice to even just have one of them, keep bind it to your units, and you know, that's going to make your life a lot easier when you do have those units out. It's very straightforward on the range units, on the horse units. You know, there's nothing crazy out there that you need to worry about. Also, a thing to note is when you're playing with the Holy Roman Empire, and you're playing crossbows into Arbatelier from the French, your crossbows will do less damage against the Arbateliers because it's a ranged, they have a ranged defense. So if you check on the tech trees, French, archery range, you have the Arbatelier, and they also have a ability, anti-armor specialist, but they comes with melee armor. They have melee armor, but the shield that they get gives them an ability that they use to give them extra range armor, similar to the palings of the French archers, and that's going to just make your life a lot easier when you fight. Now, this is the bread and butter of the Holy Roman Empire. Let's say you're playing against someone like the Delhi Sultanate, right? Or you're playing against someone like, who's a good example? Delhi Sultanate is going to be one. Let's use another, the camels of Abbasid dynasty, right? When you have spearmen, that's one thing. But when you have this riveted chainmail, which is specific to the Holy Roman Empire, you get that increased melee armor plus 3 on a spearman, means that a spearman essentially is going to have, you know, like 4 to 7 armor on a spearman. That's sometimes more than a man at arms, and then they're going to be countering, you know, your camels, or even your you know, your elephants very, very effectively. You're going to have to do normal ranged armor upgrades at the blacksmith to actually make them a little bit more tanky against range. But remember, ranged units in general counter spearmen, but the spearmen would counter your elephants and stuff very, very effectively. And if you go mass spearmen, the time that it takes you, if you know you're going to go into those type of things where you have to fight against spearmen or elephants, or even heavy knights. Okay, let's say this knight, right? 4 damage. You have a normal spearman doing, or 4 armor, so that's going to be doing 2 damage, but plus 15, so 17 damage. You can see the extra damage there, 17 against a knight, right? The knight does 36 damage, a normal spearman has 70 health, so that's basically going to be 2 hits, and he's going to be dead until you get the upgrade. Then it's going to actually be much, much stronger. Even the Landcanet is quite a low health unit. 3 hits on this guy and he's going to go down. He does 17 damage, so Spearman, Landcanet, same amount of damage. But because it's a Spearman, that armor is going to get played in effect to make a difference between how much damage you're doing. I'm covering this because we'll get to the point now, right? So these are the units that you'll expect with the Holy Roman Empire. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy there. You have your Springald, you have your Mangonel, you have your Counterweight Trebuchet, you have a Culverin. Now, when you're going into a Castle Age, a lot of people rush with your Holy Roman Empire into Castle Age, which makes your Counterweight Trebuchets available, which makes all of these upgrades available, and also, you know, you'll get crossbowmen in the second age. Your hand cannoneers only in the third age, but you can see the damage on these hand cannoneers is only 35. Only saying a lot, but that 35 gets mitigated very, very hard when you have something like a archer doing +5 damage. If we get the upgrades, it's going to be even more. I want to show you guys when these upgrades are done how much more damage they do, because they do more damage against light melee infantry. Your hand cannoneer is a light ranged infantry, so they take extra damage from archers. So yes, you can go hand cannoneers, which is quite expensive if you take into consideration 120 versus 120. But if you're pumping out archers and you go mass archers against the hand cannoneer comp, you'll win the fight because of your archers. Just take that into consideration if someone is rushing into Castle Age and so forth. Now you can see on this outpost, 83, there we go, 100 gold per minute. It took about 8 minutes for that to come online, but it's just the way the game registers the gold. It's not that it's not giving you 100 gold per minute, it is, but it's just not showing you that right away. Now I'm right clicking to take it outright. You can see now it's 1000 health, and the damage on it right now, if we get arrow slits or whatever, it's going to do a certain amount of damage. For the sake of this video, let's take the cannon emplacement to give you guys an idea, right? We'll actually just build another tower or two with the different upgrades to show you guys those upgrades and what difference that makes. And we'll get that spearman upgrade to also show you guys how to deal with the cavalry and stuff when we talk about that right now. So when you drop the relic in the outpost, right, yes, it gets that extra 25 armor, ranged armor. It doesn't get any fire armor, but meaning your bombards and stuff will have a harder time destroying this, and if you give it an upgrade, it's even more. Okay, when we take it out and we drop it into a keep, you can see the keep now has 12 damage on the bows, the first two. Then you actually have 3 bows, so you can get the boiling oil and these other upgrades. But look at the health and stuff when you drop this in the keep, right? Now you have that extra range defense. You have the extra 16 damage now on the bows, and remember, keeps, the arrows gets affected by your steeled arrows as well. So once this upgrade is done, you'll find that it's not going to be 16, it's going to be 17 damage that you'll get from your keeps. So your blacksmith upgrades does not only just affect your units, it affects your keep as well, right? So this is basically what you'll expect your final build order or unit comp to be. You can see just quickly there, the spearman goes up to 23 damage. Now you can see the difference between the landcanet and the spearman, but you have that +3 armor, and that's without your 3 extra armor that you can get here. So you'll effectively go up to 6 armor with spearmen against knights. You'll decimate knights. It's just playing into a safe castle age, so you can get these upgrades. This upgrade, I think it's an imperial upgrade. We can quickly check just to make sure, but in general your spearman is going to be crazy, and your Palace of Swabia is cheaper than a normal imperial age, so you are going to be online with those upgrades a lot sooner when you get these type of upgrades for your different units. Yeah, it's a imperial age upgrade, but it's huge. That once you get that, you'll be countering French knights and stuff very, very effectively, and it's very easy and quick to get. Now you can see in the keep something interesting to note. I saw the other day, I'm not sure if it's a research, I think it is. Let's just build one thing more to show you guys exactly what I mean. So the few upgrades that you want to focus on when building the Holy Roman Empire, and remember, you won't have a university every game, you'll probably have these type of buildings more than anything. This is a castle age building, but you'll see there's 3 very unique upgrades here at the bottom that people forget to get. And the first one is your inspired villager construct 15% faster. So let's say you go into a castle age, but you are playing very safe and you want to go to imperial age. If you get your benediction first, you're going to be building a lot quicker to get that Imperial Age landmark. You're going to have the Palace of Swabia, you're going to be pumping out villagers, and that's something that even I forget so many times to get. Now you go into Imperial Age, but you've been in Castle Age for 20 or 15 minutes, but you never built a monastery, and now you didn't get those upgrades. And it's a cheap upgrade, 200 gold, 75 wood, 45 seconds. That's going to help you so much in getting these barracks down, or getting your keeps in position so you can get these reinforced defense. Increased health of walls, towers and gates by 40%. So that's infrastructure like, you know, walls, towers and gates. That's stuff like this. It doesn't apply to your castle. Your castle upgrade, you can see there's extra 5 fire armor that you can get from the castle, but the upgrade there is based on this one, court architect, which gives you 30% extra health. That is applicable when you have that upgrade. Is going to actually increase the health of the buildings. You can see the health stays 5,000. The other day I actually saw that it was a team game. I dropped the relic in the keep, but there was stone, wood and gold, everything coming from the keep. I don't know if that was an accidental bug, but I did see that the relics did give more than just stone from that upgrade. But now we have that what's it, arrow slit, actually the cannon emplacement. So the 85 plus 1, the plus 1 is from the blacksmith. You can see that keep is now, instead of at 17, at 18. So you can get these upgrades on the ranged upgrades to also make your keeps and stuff a bit stronger when you're dealing with units. Now you also have quite a bit of range, 10 tile range. So you can see a bombard has 10 tiles range. If you have a bombard and you have cannon emplacements, I know it's an imperial play style with bombards and the cannon emplacements being a imperial upgrade. Your cannon emplacements has a 10 range and your bombard has a 10 range, so you'll be effectively able to attack your bombards when you have these emplacements. So it's also a good practice to actually have a tower close to your keeps, because they'll give you extra range firstly in terms of vision, but they'll also give you that extra cannon, which will make it a lot more difficult for bombards to push you and give you some time to react when you want to defend critical positions. Just take that into note. But you can see now on a keep it's 100 gold, on an outpost is 100 gold. So when you pick up these relics, that's going to make a big difference on those upgrades. And when you take that, you can see the damage upgrade there is 12 and 7. If we take it out, it's 12 and 2. So that's about a 5-6 damage boost from dropping the relic in the keep. If you drop it in the outpost, it goes from 85, because it's now focused on the cannon, to 30 plus 32. You can see how big of a difference that is. If I take it out, it's only a plus 2. So you get so much from dropping this in outposts, more than you get dropping it in keep. But you also do get that extra you can see that extra ranged defense, extra fire defense, and extra plus 7 range. But remember, it's 7 on every single bow. So you can see it's 19, 19, 19. And if I take it out, it's 14, 14, 14. And the keep fires every single time, like consistent arrows. It's not just a single arrow. And if you garrison villagers, now you can see it doesn't give us the damage. But when we garrison, this becomes a Gatling gun. You don't need much more than this keep to really defend your base with a few units in there. You know, with a single relic dropped in there, and you do get the gold from that as well. Now we have the this is I think it's a springled emplacement on this one. Springled, yes. So let's take the relic. It's a 62 plus 2, going up to a 60. So it's a 22 damage increase. The ranged armor stays consistent, and on arrow slits 10 and 2, going up to 10 and 6, so plus 4. You can see how much of a better upgrade it is to get a springled emplacement or a cannon compared to the arrow slits, especially when you want to drop those relics off. So that's one thing to take note of. And also the last place thing is you can drop it in your monastery, but you'll see when you drop it in the monastery, you know, your relics just gives you gold. There's no specific upgrades, but you can hold 5. Most other monasteries, other factions can only hold 3. So in team games, it is worth dropping this off in here, but you can see I also get the gold from that. After you drop your 2 in your Redsnitz Cathedral, this is going to be good. Now, another upgrade I want to talk about is devoutness. Inspired villagers gather resources 10% faster. So where that becomes applicable is if you are building a mill, you are going to be gathering food at a set rate. You can see the gold is still trickling in there. When you get the mill, you're going to have wheelbarrow, which is plus 5 carry capacity and movement speed. It's not gathering speed. You just stay out gathering more, so you bring back more, and they move faster, so you gather a bit faster, right? When you get your horticulture, the gathering rate, how quickly they pick up, let's say if a single villager can carry 25 food from a deer, how quickly they gather that 25 food is going to be increased by 15%. And then it's going to be increased, I think, let's just have a look so we don't have to wait for the upgrade. So it's going to be 15%, then another 15, and then another 15. So essentially 10, 20, 30, 45% quicker. But in the castle age, you can increase that by another 10%. And then you have your wheelbarrow, which makes the movement speed quicker. So with that specific, if you have your Archon Chapel and you have your farms underneath the Archon Chapel, you can quickly, with less than 20 farms, go very, very quickly in the castle age to about 1,500 or 1,700 food per minute, just because of these type of upgrades. And if you want a stable economy in the castle age, it's very important to get these type of upgrades on top of your normal mill upgrades, because a lot of people get the first horticulture, they get the second upgrade, and that's basically it. As soon as you're in the castle age, right, with your wheelbarrow, they stop there. But once you drop the monastery and you get this devoutness, you are going to even outscale English players gathering rate from having this, because they get a little bit of extra from mill in the farms, but you get 40% from an inspired villager, right? Let's just find the prelate here. So if you have a prelate inspiring villager, you can see there it's a gathering 40% faster, plus 40, let's say 35% from the first, or 30% from the first 2 upgrades, and then another 10% from the devoutness. So that is 30 plus 40, 70, 80% quicker gathering rate in the castle age on your food. That's insane. 80% gathering rate. Please don't capture the sacred side. Thank you. We're still talking. And the last one I want to talk about is inspired warriors. Now, predators can inspire military units, improving their armor by 1, damage by 15%. Now, I'm just going to walk this guy around because I don't want to capture the sacred site. The damage increase 15% doesn't seem a lot. It does become a lot when you are looking at your, you see, you can't inspire your siege, but when you look at stuff like these units, let's just get that upgrade, because otherwise we won't be able to do it. It's a minute upgrade. It's going to make a big difference in terms of your cavalry, because 15% right here is going to be 3 to 5 damage. You can add a few extra upgrades like this. It's going to also increase your damage, and then you can also get your elite army tactics. But remember, this is for melee infantry. Infantry being foot infantry, not cavalry. So this doesn't apply to cavalry. The only upgrade you can get for cavalry is the health upgrade. And then in your stable you can just get the elite upgrade here, but that won't really, I think it doesn't upgrade your health. I can't remember. Just on that archer thing we spoke about, you can see now the plus damage is 7 plus 7, so 14 armor damage versus this hand cannoneer, which does 35 damage. Yes, that is a lot. But a veteran archer with the extra bit of ranged armor, but specifically these upgrades, are going to really do well against these hand cannoneers. And remember, cost per unit, you're going to have a lot more archers out than hand cannoneers if you want to counter the few hand cannoneers. Now you can see that upgrade of the monastery is coming through. It was 17, now it's 19, sorry, 20 damage there. On the early men-at-arms, you have 12 damage. That's without your upgrades. Now the two upgrades that you get is the two-handed weapon, that's for your men-at-arms, and you get the heavy maces. So the heavy maces is +6, and the two-handed increasing their damage by another 2. So now you have a men-at-arms with 4 ranged armor. Because you have the inspiration, they have the extra +1 armor, which is 5. And you can increase that one more time. Or 2 more times, so that's going to go up to 7, right? Ranged armor. Holy Roman Empire is 7. English men-at-arms goes to 10 at Imperial Age. So it does help having your prelate in, but you'll have maybe 3 or 4 prelates in your fight just to bonus up those few units. The problem is it's single units that needs to be inspired. I would love if this upgrade in the future is maybe adjusted to it not being a single target thing, but a aura, because I think this expires. Once you've inspired them, I don't think it lasts permanently. You can actually just move the prelate away and just see if there's upgrade loss. But now you can see the spearmen. We didn't get that final upgrade, but when you get those upgrades, you can see how quickly this armor stacks up now to 6 when you get this extra plus armor there. And that against cavalry is going to be so much effective later on in the game. Okay, ranting on a bit, we did talk about relics, we did talk about the different unique units. Composition wise, if you are against a French, so let's use the cavalry as an example, this is going to be a standard French comp. And I'm using them as an example because that's what you expect from the French, is the cavalry. You want to counter that with spearmen, a few men-at-arms. You don't need many, a few men-at-arms. You can see now that axe is coming in there. There we go. Now we have those beautiful maces. So it's the axe and then the mace. So the axe is the upgrade on the right, the mace is the upgrade on the left. Now you have that extra 12 and +6 damage. So that's 18 damage against the elite knights that they'll do, but it's minus the 6 armor when it's fully upgraded. Okay, but point being, you want to have the spearmen against your knights, but you also want the men-at-arms in there because they are going to soak up a little bit more damage early on than your spearmen are. You can see the health difference, 120 versus 110. So really beefy spearmen. Don't sleep on these spearmen, especially now the early men-at-arms, they're not upgraded. So when we get these upgraded, their health are going to go up a little bit. But the spearmen are very beefy. Compared to the landcanet, the damage on these units will be less than the knight or spearmen, less than the men-at-arms, because it's heavy units. So men-at-arms versus men-at-arms, obviously, but 1 or 2 landcanets in there is just going to splash the damage a little bit, so you'll get that spread damage when you attack this unit. So I would say 2 or 3 landcanets in an army of 30. 2 or 3 landcanets, 10 or 15 spearmen, and the rest men-at-arms is going to be your perfect combo. And you're going to be running your enemy down because of this upgrade. Marching drills is going to increase the movement speed of your units when specifically moving towards other enemy units and so on. So those food upgrades we did talk about. We did talk about the monastery. We did talk about where to place your relics and where you get the most value out of them, especially having a springald or a cannon in placement and so forth. And also complementing your fight with, especially in late game, with the culverin. One last thing I just want to say is when you are playing the Holy Roman Empire, your springalds are a go-to for most siege comps. Just even if you have one, it's very intimidating for the enemy to deal with because of the range. You can see the 10 tile range, so it's 12 range versus 10 range, but that little bit of movement, if you have 2 or 3 springalds, is going to be intimidating if you have the springalds against a mangonel comp and so forth. But Just take note of your mangonel and their extra damage specifically against ranged units. When you have a mangonel, the splash damage was reduced. So if you look at this little dots, before it used to cover like this whole area on a 1.2 tile radius. If I want to build a house, let's just grab a villager quickly. And you want to build, you can see the little layers, right? So if the house is our target, right? You can see that. Let's just see if we can set up a little bit better. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so the house is 2 tiles. So 2 tiles wide, right? And 2 tiles this way. Now this was dropped to 0.75. So you're going to be kind of in the center circle where it was 1.2. Being, you know, there's almost this whole area of splash damage. So 0.75 is the amount of damage. If you have two of them, you'll decimate any ranged comp, being hand cannoneers, archers, or crossbowmen. Crossbowmen, elite crossbowmen, it's a standard unit. You fill them in as needed, but in most Holy Roman Empire comps, if you are going against heavy crossbowmen, you want to at least have mangonels instead of going mass crossbowmen or anything else to counter that. This is going to be your quickest counter against any big range comps. It's like the English or French, again, that likes going arbitraire and so forth, right? Your bombard is single target damage. You don't have to worry about that. Same with Springald, counterweight trebuchet. That's the max range. You can see that goes all the way to the back here. If I want to build another house, you can see every block is a single tile, so that's all the way down to there. That's the difference between about, what is the range on this? That's 9 tiles all the way to the back of the house right here, and that's 16. So you can see the visual distance difference there. Okay. 2 other quick tips when you're placing gold mines. Let's use a single node like this. You want to place it square on. You don't want to place it on a corner like this. That's more inefficient. Even just 1 tile is more inefficient. Place it square. That's going to give you the best gathering rate. On the big nodes, don't worry about the stone. A single one is good. Gold. You want to put 2 down, and you can split them up. Like on the corners like this, and that's going to give you about 15 to 20 workers that just keeps running back and forth like this without, you know, having this weird thing where they keep running around. It sounds silly focusing on all these small little details, but it makes such a big difference in your game. And how you know, the difference between 1,000 gold per minute and 1,200 gold per minute when you have those villagers out farming your resources, right? Same thing, remember the gather rate per resource is unique per resource. So if you drop you know, lumber camp, gold mine, and a mill, it's specific to that resource. So the only one that's not is this upgrade that we got here, which is applicable to all your buildings, and that's why it's such a huge upgrade, because technically it's not a +10 but a +30, because it's 10% of all resources. That's going to make your life a lot better. Last thing is, you know, when you have your prelate and you capture your sacred sites does give you a bit of gold. They do for all factions. Some factions just get more from it, but your relics that you have placed, it's much better, in my opinion, placed in outposts, especially when upgraded in key positions like on the corners right here, or you know, right next to your keep, to just give you that extra bit of beefy damage when you have those relics placed inside the outpost instead of the keep. But yeah, thank you very much for that. If you guys have any other tips that you think might be good, which I missed, covering the units and the buildings and everything, please do let me know. I think we did go quite into depth about the details. The university and all of that is very straightforward. There's nothing really crazy about anything else. Ships are very similar to others. Nothing crazy about the ships. They just gain emergency repair. Oh, that's one last thing that I want to mention. When you are getting attacked, let's say by trebuchets, which is outside your keep range, but you don't have immediate assistance to train or fight that, just remember this ability. 150 health every 1 second for 20 seconds. That's basically 3000 health. I think that if I'm correct, that's the total repair. 150 health every 1 second for 10 seconds, so it's 1500 for 10 seconds, 3000. Yes, 3000 damage is going to repair over the course of that building. 1500 here, you can see same amount. This building can be nearly completely dead. You can push that button, it's going to repair. Obviously, there's a certain amount of damage from counterweight trebuchet being 450 plus 450, so 550 versus buildings. So again, smaller buildings obviously will be less effective against outposts and so forth. But every 3 seconds with an attack speed of a trebuchet, for argument's sake, attack speed of 12.5 seconds. I think it's 12.5 seconds. Let's just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.5, and it's firing again. So that's the attack speed of the unit. 5.25 seconds. Knights 0.4 so that is that the attack speed. Attack speed 0.4, so that's how long it takes in between the attacks. 1.5 on the archers. You can see how quick the knight attacks. 0.4. That's actually insane. Crossbow 2. Men at arms 1.25. Spearmen 1.75. Land cannon 1.25. Hand cannoneer 2. So it gives you a bit of an idea of how these attacks were. 4.5 on the culverin, 5.2. Springald 4. Mangonel is 6.7, but you can increase that by 25% in your siege workshop right here. You can increase. This is actually quite a nice upgrade to get, just letting you guys know. Also this one, I can increase the range by 2, so it goes from 10 to 12, same as the culverin, but the damage comes from your geometry. Increases damage of rams and trebuchets, so the trebuchet will do more damage, about 700 damage per volley, which is huge. And the last one is going to be this upgrade, Siege Works. Increases the health of siege engines by 20% and the range armor. Range armor by 3. So they will take even less damage from range units. But don't worry too much about that, it's even being patched or upgraded more in the next patch, end of June. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Please let me know if there's anything you want to add, and I think that's a really good breakdown of everything you need to know about the Holy Roman Empire before you go into